Hello everyone, Steven here. This is the first video that I'll be making for Wednesday, June 17th, 2020. Well, here we are. We're here on the last day of class. And normally, you'll get your final exams back and, see your grade and see what you missed and how well you did. And, you'll be recognized for your attendance and all that good stuff. And we have a little conference so that we'll know what your future plan would be for the following semester. And then, of course, a lot of people, everybody will bring some food to share, and we'll have a big celebration. But I guess that's not going to happen here online. But maybe, it's a good thing. At least we get to learn some more English, okay? So anyway, we'll talk about the last day on the last video at the end a little bit. But today, we're going to be doing Unit 10, okay? Unit 10, free time. And we're going to go to page 124. Page 124 and talk about, what is that? Talk about future real conditional. Future real conditional. That's what we're going to talk about today. All right. So what is future real conditional? Okay, obviously we say future because we're going to talk about the future, it's ideas about the future, and we say it's conditional because we use the word if. Okay, if something happens, then something will happen. Okay, if something happens, then something will happen. So that's the condition. Okay, so we say it's conditional, and we say it's real. Okay. Actually, when we make these sentences, it's really we're imagining what might happen in the future, or we're guessing what might happen in the future. But we say real because it could really happen. Okay, it's not something that's impossible. Okay, but that's why we call that future real conditional. All right. So let's talk about it by using an example. Okay. So if I say if I have time tomorrow, okay, I will study. Okay, let's say, okay, I will study English, and I'll just leave out the word English. If I have time tomorrow, I will study English. This is an example of future real conditional sentence. Okay, so as you see, you got the if that makes it conditional, okay, and then we talk about will, and that's future. But look at this. We have two clause complex sentence here, right? It's a time. We have two clauses, one sentence. This is the main clause, but that one is in the future, just like we say future. But the conditional clause or the dependent clause, this is in the present tense. Okay, this is in the future. Okay, but this is in the simple present. Okay, if I have time tomorrow, I will study. Okay, so it's kind of funny because you would think if I will have time tomorrow, I will study, right? Because we're talking about future, right? But for future real conditional, we do not make the time clause in the future tense. We say it in the present tense. Okay, so you got to remember that. All right. So for the future real conditional sentences, the main clause. Okay, this is the main clause. Okay, main clause is in the future tense, but the conditional clause or the dependent clause is in the simple present tense. Okay, so remember that. You don't say if I will have time tomorrow, even though we're talking about the future, right? Tomorrow is future. It's not now. Okay, it's not yesterday. Future is tomorrow, right? I mean, it's future. I'm sorry. Tomorrow is future, right? So we would think you gotta make it will, but we don't. Okay, so that's the special rule they gotta remember. Okay, so you don't say if I will have time tomorrow. Okay, we just say if I have time tomorrow. Okay, if I have time tomorrow, I will study. Okay, and then remember, you put a comma right there when you start with the dependent clause or the conditional clause in this case. So let's rewrite this. Let's rewrite this with the main clause first. If I say I will I will study if I have time tomorrow. Okay, so it's the same meaning. I just switched the order. Okay, I put the main clause first, the second time here. So I will study if I have time tomorrow. And when you begin with the main clause, followed by the conditional clause, then you do not put a comma. No comma. Okay. So that's the only difference when you switch the order. And I mentioned this many times. Okay. So you should already know this. Okay. All right. So that's an example. Okay. That's an example. So this is a positive. This is a positive. And how do you make that? How do you contract the positive sentence? You say what? You say, I'll study, right? I'll study if I have time tomorrow, okay? And we talked about a contraction with I will, right? I will, you will, he will, she will, it will, we will, you will, they will, right? Apostrophe LL, okay? I'll, you'll, he'll, she'll, it'll, will, you'll, they'll, okay? So that's how you contract the positive, okay? I'll study if I, how about this? Can you contract this? Can you do this? If I've time, okay? No, you don't want to contract that. Just doesn't sound right. You don't want to do that, okay? So don't contract the second part, okay? In the present perfect, we can contract I because you have another verb coming. But there's no more verb. This is the main verb, so you don't want to contract. It sounds very awkward, okay? If you say, if I've time tomorrow, that doesn't sound good. So don't contract this part. You can contract this part, but not this part, okay? All right. So how do you make it negative? How do you make this negative? You could say, I will not study if how do you make that negative? If I haven't, remember, that's the perfect tense. This is not perfect tense, right? This is future tense, right? So you're going to do what? If I don't, or if I do not have time tomorrow, okay? So that's how you make it negative. I will not study if I do not have time tomorrow, okay? And you contract this by, you can say, I'll not, or what's up? I'll not study, or you can say what? What am I getting to? Apostrophe. I'll not study, or you can say I won't study, right? Okay, you knew this, okay? I'll not study or I won't study if I what? If I don't have time, okay? So that's how you contract the negative, okay? And then how do you write the question form? How do you write the question form? How would you write this into change this into a question form? Okay? So you will say, you want to use the will, right? Will I study? Okay, you want to go back to the positive sentence, right? Will I study if I have time tomorrow? Will I study if I have time tomorrow? And then answer is yes, I will. That's a short answer, right? Yes, I will. Can you say yes, I'll? No. For the short answer, you don't want to contract like that. Just like you don't want to say I've here, okay? Yes, I will, or no, I will not, okay? let me just write it without contraction. Will not. And if you contract that, it'll become no, I won't. No, I won't. Okay? So, in a nutshell, that's the future real conditional sentence. Okay? Okay, so you get it? Again, if you have any questions, I know it's the last day, but I'll still answer your emails, okay? Even after the semester is over, okay? You can still email me, schoi413@gmail.com, okay? All right, let me erase this, okay? So, all right. All right, so, let me just give you one or two more examples here. if I say, if you cook, if you cook tonight, I will wash the dishes. Okay? If you cook tonight, I will wash the dishes. Okay? So you don't say if you will cook. Okay? You don't want to do that. Okay? You want to keep the conditional clause in the simple present tense. Okay? If you cook tonight, I will wash the dishes. So the main clause is in the future tense. Okay? All right. So let me do one more before we move on. I always talk about cooking and eating and all that stuff. So if I if I get hungry, okay, if I get hungry later, I will eat. Okay, simple as that. I will eat. Okay, this is another example of the future real conditional sentence. Okay, if I get hungry later, okay, that's future. Okay, it's like tonight. If I get hungry later, I will eat. Okay, so again, okay, you don't say if I will get hungry. Okay, you don't want to make that future. Okay, you don't want to do that. Okay? If I get hungry, I will eat. Okay, just remember, the main clause is in the future tense, and the conditional clause or the dependent clause in this case is in the simple present tense. Okay, that's the main thing. That's the main thing. And if you start with the dependent clause or the conditional clause, if you gotta put the commas. But if you start with the main clause, I will wash the dishes. If you cook tonight, then no comma. If you begin with the main clause, I will eat if I get hungry later. Okay, so no comma if you begin with the main clause, but you put a comma if you begin with the conditional clause. Okay. All right. Okay, so I think that's simple enough, right? That's very straightforward. All right. Okay, so let's go to the book. Okay, on page let's go to page 124. Page 124. Okay, page 124. Okay, so we're on page 124 right there. 124, and we're gonna do this. Okay. By the way, let me just read this little section in the box. Okay, it says, use an if clause to talk about future possibility. Use the simple present in the if clause, and use the future in the main clause to talk about what could happen. Okay, and I just explained all that. I just want to just remind you that's that's in the book, just like what I just said. All right, let's go to the practice section right here on the bottom half. It says. Complete the sentences, use the simple present or future form of the verbs. Okay, and then you got a circle, but we're not going to do that. All right, let's just look at the first one. It's already done for us. Annette and William will take their children to Sea Adventure next month if William gets a few days off. Okay, so when you see the if, that's the dependent clause. That's the conditional clause, right? So if it's if, okay. So if it's, I'm sorry, I already erased it. Okay, so if you see the if, that's the conditional clause, and conditional clause has to be in the simple present, right? So that's why it says if William gets a few days off, okay, and then Annette and William will take, okay, the main clause. You put it in future. Okay, so this number one, the sentence number one begins with the main clause. So what happens? There's no comma, right? You don't see any commas. Okay, no comma at the end of the main clause. Okay, all right. Let's do number two. If they get a discount, they reserve a room at a hotel. Okay, number two. Okay, so how do you do that? If they, that's the conditional, so that has to be what? That has to be simple present, right? If they get a discount, they will. The main clause is what? they will reserve a room at a hotel. Okay, and you see the comma there, right? Okay, why? Because it begins with the dependent clause or the conditional clause. Okay, so when you begin with the conditional clause, you want to put a comma. All right, number 3. What's number 3? If prices be too high, they not take an expensive vacation. Okay, again, it begins with the conditional clause, which means you got to put that in the simple present, right? So you say, if prices, okay, what's the simple present for prices? It's third person singular, right? Is it third person singular? No, it's it's third person plural, right? If prices are, right? It's more than one price. If prices are too high, they what? They will not, or they won't, okay? They will not take. They will not take, or they won't take an expensive vacation. Now, do you want to put a comma or not? Yes, you want to put a comma again because it begins with the dependent clause or the conditional clause, right? Okay. All right. Number 4. Number 4. What's number 4? Number 4 is we have. Okay. So this one begins with the main clause, right? So the main clause has to be in the what? Future. That's right. It has to be in the future tense. All right. So we say we will have. Okay. We will have what? We will have a picnic on Saturday if it what? If it what? Okay. If is the conditional, so that has to be the present tense, right? If it, no rain? How do you make it negative? How do you make it negative? You got to use do, does, did, right? So it is third person singular, so you got to use does, right? If it does. If it does not, okay? If it does not rain, okay? If it does not rain, right? Or if you contract, it'll be doesn't, okay? All right. So number 4 is we will have a picnic on Saturday if it does not rain. And do you put a comma or no comma? No comma because it begins with the main clause, right? Begins with the main clause. Okay. All right. Number 5. Okay. If you, okay, there's what? If is what? Conditional. That's the dependent clause. So when you use if, you got to use what? You got to use present tense. Okay. If you give, okay, second person is just give. If you give me the money, I will, okay, you got to use future for the main clause. I will buy the concert tickets. Okay. And then what do? Do you put a comma or no? Yes, you put a comma because it begins with the conditional clause, right? If you give me the money, I will buy the tickets, right? I'll buy the concert tickets. All right. Number 6, okay? Number 6. Number 6 is if you come, okay? If you come to Chicago, we will meet. We will meet, okay? And then you put a comma because it begins with a conditional, okay? And then number 7, they will fly, okay? Because this is the main clause. They will fly to Miami next week if they what? If they find. And no comma, right? Because it's a main clause first, okay? All right. And then number 8 is negative. We will not go, right? We will not. Okay, we will not go camping if the weather, right, is, right? If weather is too hot, okay? And then no comma. And then number 9, if it rains, okay? If it rains, okay, simple present. If it rains, comma, we will have the party inside, okay? And the last one, number 10. Number 10 is if she what? If she needs, third person singular. If she needs a rental car, she will what? She will look. She will look for one online. Okay? Alright, so that's it for the future real conditional. Okay? Alright, I'll see you in the next video. Okay? I'll see you in the next video. See you soon.